Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2D RPG with Cree. That's me. So, I told you that we would fix the animations for our NPC here so that when he's facing up, he'll be doing a face up animation. When he's facing down, he'll be doing a face down animation. So, to start that off, we need to come to him. Let's go over to animation. We'll create a new clip. Make sure it's saved in clips. And then we're going to call it Mysterious Man. Oh, it's animation, so we're going to save it like that. Come back over to our sprites, and we need to get his up animation. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. We play this, see that he's bouncing up. Cool. So now if we go to our animator, we can see the up animation is here. So what do we need to do? We need to, oh, I had this in here for a test. I'm going to delete that. We need to make a transition to it and make a transition back. So now we're going to make a new parameter. We're going to make it a bool, and we're going to name it facing. So here's that. Same thing. We're going to come in here and we're going to change the exit times and the durations. And then we're going to put a facing in here, and we're going to make this false because we're going to write some code. And we're going to make the facing up. We want facing up to be true. So when he's facing up, we want it to be false when we're down here, so that he's facing towards us. When he's facing up and we change, we want it to be true, so it transitions back. So let's hit the has exit, zero these out, and then we'll put the facing true in here. Cool. So as far as that goes, I think that's all we need to do before we start coding. We're going to hop into our script here, and we already have a starting script, so we're just going to hop into that script and we'll be good to go. What do we need to do in this sorting script? Well, start off, we need to have a private animator like we did on our player. So private animator, and animator, there it is, and we'll just call it NPC. Then in our update function, we need to check and see what we're doing with this. So then we're going to say NPC animator. Oh, I'm going to change this to NPC anim up here, just like we did with the player, just so we know what's going on if we're looking at our script later. So NPC anim equals animator, and then we're going to do get component, and this time we're going to do a type of component, so type of, and then we're just going to say animator because we're looking for the animator on the NPC. So that should be good for that. And really the code for this is really simple. So we already have a function that looks where the player is in accordance to the NPC. So we're going to take advantage of this. So all we really have to say in here is NPC anim dot set bool, because remember we made that parameter and we made it a bool. Now we're going to take advantage of that. So there's the set bool, and then we have to do the same name. So I'm pretty sure we called it facing with a lowercase f. And in here, we're going to say true. So remember how I was doing the true or false before? So this one is -1. So this is when we're on top of the merchant, higher up on the Y. So we want the facing to be true because we set that animation to be face up. So the facing is true. So that's how that works. So obviously down here, we're going to do the same thing, but say it's false. So NPC anim dot set bool facing equals false, because we don't want him to be facing up, because that's what our bool is set to. So now the system knows that it can switch back and not be doing that anymore. So let's hop back into Unity. So now that we're back in Unity, we can come here and we can play this script, and we can see that he is now following us around. This is cool in an RPG because it gives the NPC a little bit more life. Not only is he animating, but now he's also facing the player based on the player's position. Later on, we'll add something where we'll put a circle collider around these NPCs for like enemies, and if we're within the circle collider, the enemies will follow us and attack us. But we'll go over all that when we do in-world attacks, because I also want to do turn-based attacks. So we'll just do like rats or something that'll be easy to kill, that'll drop coin or crafting items. We'll see what we do with that. So I almost promised you guys that we would do something with the camera. So you can cheat and you can pull the main camera straight onto the player and go ahead and start playing. But this is cheating. This does not teach you at all how this works or what it's doing. So we're going to undo that with a Control Z, maybe 2 Control Z's, and we're going to make an actual script. And we're going to call it Start script, and we're going to name it follow camera. So follow camera, and then we're going to come in here. So what was happening before, oh, that was weird, was we put the camera on the player and it automatically knew that the transform was related to the player. So that's what we're going to do in the script, because we're coders and we know what we're talking about. So let's make a few comments here. First one is going to be distance between the player and the camera, because we have to set this now. And that's literally going to be a public float, and we're going to set this float public float x offset, and we're going to set it to 0 because we don't want an offset. I mean, if you do, you can come in here and change it, play with that a little bit. And then we're going to do another one, and then we're going to do the vertical difference. So distance of vertical difference, which again, you can mess with this if you want, but we're just going to make this 0. We're going to do public float, and this one's going to be a y offset, and it's going to equal 0 just as well. Not 0 f1. So now we need to make the reference variable to the player, and that's going to be our public transform, which we should be well familiar with by now because we've used it twice already. This will be the 3rd time, and we're just going to call it player. And then we're going to make a private void, and we're going to use a late update. Unity Systems late update. It's called every frame if behavior is enabled. So that's why we use it. It's checking if the player exists. So if we die, we might set the camera back to the spawn point where we want our player to spawn. We'll go over all that later, but that's pretty much what it does. It's just like the update, except for it only references to behavior being active, and that behavior is our player. So it's good. So in here, we're going to say this late update, or this transform, sorry, position equals a new vector 3, because we're going to take in 3 different values. So if you highlight this, it doesn't even tell you, but pretty much we're going to do the players. Oh, there's it going to show us now. So your float X and your float Y, and then we're going to put a extra value in there as well, just for an offset. So this is going to be your player.transform, and we're going to do the X first, position.x, and then we're going to add the X offset to that. So if you updated your X offset, this would change the left and right of the positioning of the camera. So you can come in here and mess with that if you want, but I'm keeping it at 0. And then we're going to do comma, and then we're going to do the same thing, player dot transform dot position dot y plus the y offset. And then we're just going to throw a -10 in here for reference. I don't know why I did 0.10. We'll do -10. And you'll see how this looks. I don't like how this code is going way over here. So after this first offset, I'm going to come in here and bring this over like this. So C# reads inlines. So if there's a comma here and you don't end the sentence, it will go to the next line and read the sentence for you, pick up where it left off. I really like this about this because you can have spaces, like if we had something that had a bunch of different values, which we'll see later when we start doing conversations. I want to be able to put a list down here and see what's going on and not have it affected because it looks nicer. So that's a good quality of this C# script and Visual Studios. So if we come back into here, we can now go to our main camera and we can add that new camera script. And if we open it, we're going to have to drag and drop our player into here. Go ahead and hit start. And the camera now follows us around with script instead of cheating and using a game engine to do it for us. So, like I was saying before, you can come in here and change this offset. Let's just say 1:1. I know some people like having their stuff up at an angle. And it will offset the camera so you're not in the center anymore like we were before. So you can play with that. You can do whatever increment you want, but for my game, I want to be dead in the center. So 0, 0. Alrighty, that's all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.